Oh my God, your background. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh no, I need to change that picture though real fast. Hi.
Okay. Hello.
Nice to see you. Hold
Nice
on.
to
Let
see you.
me are we people aren't like how do you wait, I can do this. I can
Oh
stop.
no, there's people seeing that glorious background of yours right
Yeah.
now. But it's all
I'll
good.
change it to something else though. That was for my book club.
Okay.
Um, how's everyone doing today?
We're hanging in there. How about you?
Today was a good day. I'll
Good.
call today a good day. Here, I'll do a picture of a cat.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay.
All right. Now let me go back to seeing you. Hold on. How do I? There we go. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, there's the camera.
Hi, honey. I'll probably be looking not at the camera for most of this anyway, but you know, that's how all these live chats go, I guess.
That's fair. We're gonna make it fun. That's all that matters. Are we gonna talk about this today? Oh, I have to put it in front of my face.
Ghost tonight. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about today.
Did people ask questions?
Yeah, they can ask questions. So down below in like your little box, your Zoom box, you can see a Q&A and a chat. The chat, they can ask questions there, or they can do a Q&A or like a question in the Q&A part. You can pop that out actually, and I put it on like, if you have the option to put it aside. I don't know. I have a second screen, so.
Oh, that's smart. If you don't mind, I'll just rely on you because I cannot.
Okay. Okay, sounds great.
If that's okay, I don't mean to be.
No, you're all good. That cat is too much. I love it. Okay, I was gonna try a Zoom background myself, but like I didn't have a green screen, so it's literally just like my face as like the solar system or something. It was too awful. I was like, I cannot do this.
That would have been cool. My dog
just
wants
my
to
face.
say hi. Oh wait, you can't see my dog.
Aw.
There he is. Hi, Henry. Say hi. Say hi to the internet, Henry. Thank
Say
you.
everyone pre-order Ghosted in LA Volume 1.
Yes, yeah, I know. Well, yeah, God, I don't even know what the deal is with distribution right now, but I mean, aside from the internet, like
that it's not happening, actually. That it's just not happening right now.
I guess you can still get it through Ingram and other booksellers.
Yeah. But I think Boom will ship it direct as well. So if you wanted to order I think you can order single issues as well from Boom Studios. So if you wanted to do that, you can too, I believe.
Perfect. Let me just do no virtual background so I can promote Ghost
all your stuff. Yes.
Where is it? There we go. There we go.
Excellent. I should have brought mine out that you signed for me at Comic-Con. I should have brought that out to show off, but it's okay.
It's okay. Another time. We'll do this again. This will be the first of many. We have nothing else to do besides have fun.
Right? Exactly. So I feel like I should say thank you so much to Boom Studios and the ALA and the Graphic Novel Comics Roundtable for this conversation today. I'm so excited. I was so excited when Moni said that I could like put my name down to have a conversation with you. I was like, yes. This is all I care about in the next 2 weeks. It's going to be so fun. So we'll talk about anything and everything you want. I have a few questions myself, and then we'll take some questions from the chat box I have over here. Okay. But most importantly, what are you doing while you're at home? That's the part, right?
I'm not going I'm like, that's the real hard part right now. No, luckily, like there's still some Ghost in LA stuff to do. I have a couple pages I need to draw because every issue has flashbacks drawn by me.
Okay.
And then so there's stuff to do with that and like reviewing lettering and coloring for that. So that's great. And then there are some other comic projects I'm working on. Like I'm gonna be launching a new series with Image Comics called Getting It Together.
Okay.
And so there's some work that has to happen on that one, even though we're super ahead, which is crazy. But
especially right now, yeah.
Yeah, so luckily I have a few things keeping me busy, but it's still not enough. And also, you could kind of go a little mad if you spend all day in front of screens.
Yep.
And what I'm about to say doesn't make any sense because it's more screen time. But I just downloaded Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'm so happy to be a nerd again and play
and actually get to play it.
Yeah.
And have the quote time. We're always finding time to do stuff now, huh? It's like all the stuff we wanted to do, we actually have the time to do it, even though we probably had the time before, but
no, I mean, well, yeah, I guess it's like the time I don't spend socializing, like, is now spent sending my friends postcards. I've been sending postcards,
like physical postcards.
Yeah, well, I have
awesome.
Well, like, I don't know about you, but like, I'd buy postcard books because like I liked whatever the artwork was. And so now I have like, you know, dozens of postcards that aren't being used. So I'm just, because I have to
Little
go and ship
notes.
out pins and stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
just, so it's like, okay, I'll go ship, you know, whatever web orders I get, and then like buy some postage for these postcards and
That's
surprise
so
some friends.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Like,
just trying to keep peppy and, you know, bring
and
people
still
some joy where I can.
socialize. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then yeah, just also catching up on like whatever TV I missed. I'm so happy. I love that show Broad City, and I had saved the last season for a rainy day. Even though it's like one of my favorite shows, I just never watched the last season because I was like, I'll need it. I don't need it today, but I'll need it one day.
And
Rainy
you
day's
needed
here.
it. Well,
It's
literally, it's been raining for like 4 days. So it's like
yeah.
you can't even go out, even if you kind of wanted to get out, you know, and like walk around or whatever,
Oh
because it's
yeah.
been pouring down rain, at least here in Temecula where I am. But I'm assuming it's the same in Los Angeles.
It's been pretty rainy.
Yeah.
It's been, yeah, today was just gloomy, but and my dog hates the rain, so but yeah, luckily I've had work. You know, some things have stalled out. That's okay. And then I'm using this time to just really reconnect with drawing now that,
Hmm.
and I think that's been the nice thing is like, I just have hours to draw. Whereas before, I think that time would so be interrupted
Oh
by
yeah,
your friends
anything and
reaching out.
everything
Hmm.
with like
Yeah.
just text messages or anything like that. Absolutely. I'm gonna turn down my brightness on my. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm like really I'm really pale anyway, but I was like ghostly white. So for
Your
anyone who's
eye
watching
makeup looks
this,
great today.
oh
I
thanks.
mean,
I
I'm sure it looks
appreciate it.
great every day,
No,
but
I did extra because I knew I was talking to you.
I should have put on some makeup, but my skin's been so sensitive that like
Yeah.
I bought a highlighter stick. That's what's been new. Anyway, sorry, this is so literary.
No, we can talk about anything. So I love it. If you want to talk about okay, what kind of highlighter stick, because I actually just got the iconic highlighter drops in my BoxyCharm the other day, and I tried those, and those are
Hmm.
incredible, but they're expensive, so I never got them. But I used to use the Fenty highlighter stick a lot, so I don't know.
Oh, I just bought whatever was at Target. That was like finding out that Target is still open was really exciting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'll show you. This is very interesting for everyone. I bought a BTS doll. This is how sane
Wait,
I'm not.
okay.
I'd never really seen BTS, and then I saw this at Target, and I was like, they
They
sell
have
this?
dolls and like blankets and stuff. It
But
was
like,
wild,
look
and
at
like
this.
board games. Yeah.
This is being sold to children. Like, look how queer this is. Like,
I
look
mean,
at like he's wearing makeup. Like, it's just I had to buy it because this is when does this happen that like an
you get
Asian
something
dude
like
with
that, yeah.
crimped hair? I just
And you're
so
gonna display it, yeah.
it was really nice to buy things that weren't like groceries, and it was nice to like
Treat
be
yourself.
yeah. I mean, you know, that wore out fast, but I had it and it was good. So anyway, I'm keeping sane. I'm having fun here.
Yeah.
Just
Do
doing.
you play Animal Crossings at all?
I don't. I only have a PlayStation 4. So, and again, me and video games, I loved them, but I reached a point where I was like, okay, you could either get better at drawing comics
Or play
or
video
play
games
more
forever?
or play
Yeah.
video games, and so I kind of had to pick. I had to pick the lesser choice, sadly.
Well, if for any reason your books are delayed after this whole thing is over, it's because you were playing Final Fantasy.
Fact. Well,
That's the
yeah,
truth.
yeah.
But it is
So,
visually like amazing. I've seen a few people on YouTube play it in like the beta or the free like demo or whatever, and
mhm.
it looks really nice. I've never played Final Fantasy myself, but it just looks like it would be a lot of fun to play. I don't know.
That's how I convinced myself to spend $60 in the time of coronavirus. Was like, it's gonna inspire you. Like, you're gonna maybe not even from a storytelling standpoint, but just visually, it's
Visually,
gonna,
yeah.
you know, and it's a write-off when you do what I do. So,
So
um,
anything's market research, anything's like research, right?
real tea. Yeah, no, honestly, it's bad because like I was doing my taxes and like you look like I could see my impulsive decision making, like iTunes here, movie theater there, and it was like bookstore like there, and you know, obviously now it's like, oh, I'm supporting bookstores, but it was just kind of like, oh yeah, you like lied to yourself every time you went to like the record store or every time you went to a comic store and spent like, you know, like you bought that like one more graphic novel you shouldn't have bought financially. And it was all because I was like, it's a write-off, it's a
Yeah,
write-off,
it's
it's a
for
write-off.
work.
Yeah, so I mean, whatever, it's fine. It's all fine, but it's like, oh, I was spending a lot of money on
Yeah.
pop
I
culture.
think when you look closely at it, it happens to everyone. Like for me, for a long time, I would get Starbucks every day, and it would be like $100 a week. And I finally was just like, I cannot live this way. Like I can live this way, but I need to sort it out. So I stopped. Unfortunately, I stopped getting Starbucks every day. But it's like when you look
Especially
closely
when, yeah, and with Starbucks they give you the rewards account if you get, anyway,
like I
let's
get
come on,
free.
let's
Anyway,
talk about
let's
books
talk
for like
about
2 minutes.
Ghost in LA and where that came
Okay.
from, because so because I'm a retailer, I got to read the first issue in PDF form, and I fell so in love with Daphne. I thought like she was like she was the funniest and most different character I've read, especially since she's Jewish and things like that I hadn't seen. Well, because I guess it sounds a little like sheltered to say that, but I hadn't read about a Jewish character or anything like that really in a book ever. So I guess that's maybe where I'm like, telling everyone I'm very sheltered. But when I read her, I was like, wow, she's very relatable. You know what I mean? Obviously,
Yeah.
because you wrote her. But like, you're like, I moved to Los Angeles when I was her age, and I didn't know anything. And obviously, I mean, I didn't move because of her. Spoiler alert, if you haven't read the book, but you should have. This is like months old. She moved because of her boyfriend, right? And to me,
Yeah.
that was just like, holy crap, like so many girls or so many people have made that decision. And so to read this and have the little extra supernatural put in there was so much fun. So how did you come up with all of that to put together?
Well, first of all, thank you for reading it, because it is an indie book and it is special to me, and everyone should order Ghost in LA Volume 1, please and thank you. So it came from, I really love everyone I work with at Boom Studios, especially my editor Shannon Waters. We had done stuff together as early as the Adventure Time comics, like way back when.
Yeah.
Those started coming out in like regular show, and we had never found anything to work on long term together, but we were always like professionally flirting, I would say. And so one day, I was visiting the office and we were chatting, and she was, she's just like, I really want to do something with you. And pro tip, it's like, if someone says they want to do something with you, then you've got to start asking the questions for what they're looking for.
Right.
Because clearly, like, I would pitch her something and it wasn't what Boom needed, but Boom needs stuff because they have to put out content. They have to put out books, but it has to fit with what they're looking for.
Their brand or whatever, right?
Yeah. So I was just like, Shannon, like, what are you looking for? So we chatted a little bit, and then I left. Matt's on the screen, sort of. Or maybe not. I don't know. That's what I see, though. Anyway, I'll just keep talking. So I left that meeting with the phrase, like, like a supernatural Melrose Place. And I grew up always in apartment buildings, and I'm from LA. So I was super tickled by the idea of like an apartment complex that's soap opera-y, where everyone's like on top of each other, and there's all this like cascading conflict. And at the time I've never not been, but like I was very much in a deep Steven Universe phase. So then I also had this desire to tell a story where something that would be planted in issue 1 wouldn't come back till later. Like all these little, like, I could throw a sentence here and it wouldn't get rewarded, until the very end or something like that. And so those were kind of the two things I had in my mind. And then Daphne I just wanted to do a character that I had never.
Bye. My boyfriend.
Oh,
sorry, guys. He's going to hide.
And then Daphne, I just wanted to make this girl that I know, this type of girl I know. I just wanted to bring her to life and put her in comic books, because, like you said, whether it's her religion or her personality or whatnot, you don't see a lot of. I haven't encountered a lot of her in pop culture.
Right.
I mean, and especially in comics, like the most famous Jewish female character is Kitty Pryde, and so it's not like I had that goal in mind, but again, I wanted this very specific girl I knew and that I grew up with. I wanted to put her in a comic book. And that was where it all kind of came from. And I'm just so happy that Boom trusted me and has like really let me run full throttle with this idea. And then the supernatural bent to pick ghosts, that stemmed from, I think I really wanted to have each of these characters signify a different aspect of being single in a big city.
Okay.
And then I also, you know, with the phrase ghosted in LA, they have all been, their relationship with their own mortal lives is a huge kind of read on the idea of ghosted. Like, one of the characters, Shirley, I guess I have a visual aid. This one, Shirley, like, it's like, you know, her kids ghosted her. Aggie, her husband, ghosted her. Pam ghosted like adulthood, like she didn't want to grow up, so she just, you know. So and I play with that, where it's not just like a positive or negative thing, but it is the reason why they're still here. Like, that's the one thing they all have in common, is in some way, shape, or form, they kind of got ghosted in their life, and it bled into their afterlives. So yeah, it's just been a great time, and I love it, and I just hope it continues
Forever
to find an audience. Yeah, I don't know.
Forever.
I have, you know, well, we're doing 12 issues for sure, 3 volumes, and then, but I have stories after that, so it just kind of all depends on how well I do things from here on out in terms of promoting it.
Well, I think this will help quite a bit. I'm just wondering, how did it go? Let me keep track of what I'm trying to say. How is it going from something like King Shazam to then writing something like Ghost in LA? Is the process different, or is it for you relatively the same? You're just answering to different types of people, or?
So for people who don't know, I did a Shazam story for DC that was part of their Year of the Villain storyline, and that had a bleak ending. I mean, it's been long enough that we can say the ending, but basically at the end of it, Shazam, who is like the paragon of like optimism and happiness and hope, infects his sister Mary Marvel and makes her a bad guy too, because everyone's getting infected with this Batman Who Laughs stuff. And I think it was just like, my goal for me whenever I tell a story is always find the happy ending. And that's not to say like cheat to find the happy ending. That's like push the story until they get there, you know. Like, that was there's an unfinished idea I have in my head but like, it was a very bleak Black Mirror concept, and I was like, but how do they get to their happy ending? And I think that's, you know, everyone else other people are already doing like that Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, super nihilist content storytelling, and that's cool, that's them, but that's not me, and I know my lane. So I think the difference between like Ghost in LA and then doing something that's in the middle of like, you know, Year of the Villain is just like, it was more like, how do I keep myself and then give them like a very bad ending? Like, and so you know, you just kind of doing that Joss Whedon thing of like, when's the best moment to stick the knife into the character's stomach? But they both come from the same place of just thinking about character and thinking about what they want and what their needs are, and really personally like loving them. And then it's just, you know, and you always have to like break a character's heart or hurt a character. And I guess the difference was like, I didn't get to closure. Yeah, I didn't get to put a balming oil or a salve on the characters after that, you know. But yeah, I think it's, you know, and then it's you know, and then just the stuff you're looking at or thinking about and reading. Like with Shazam, I was just reading a lot of DC comics, and same with anything I do there. Like, you know, I did a Plastic Man short story.
Well, didn't you do Iceman as well? Didn't you write the Iceman coming out? Like,
yeah, he came out to his parents in my story. And that, you just have to like look at what's important to that audience and then do it through the filter of what's important to you.
Yeah.
And I'm super lucky, knock on wood, that everything I've done has been stuff and characters I already like. And so I haven't.
That's what was my another question was, did you previously enjoy Shazam, or did you kind of just get told, hey, you're going to write this character, and then you were like, I guess, type thing.
The editor at DC gave me a list of characters. He's like, I'm taking pitches for like these 4 characters, and Shazam was one of them. And like in that call, I was like, yeah, I want Billy. I'm gonna get Billy. Like, it's just gonna happen. And I don't care who else is auditioning for this. Like, and that's kind of how I get with anything I want, where it's like, in terms of like gigs, because like I'm not anybody where they'll just hand me something. Like, there's always a bake-off where you have to compete with other writers.
Right.
And so like even when I was auditioning for the Go-Go Power Rangers co-writing gig with Ryan Parrott, I was just like, no one else is gonna get this. Like, I'm gonna get it. Like, and I'm not saying because I'm good. I'm saying because I'm gonna like
Because you
work
want
hard.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna work hard, and I'm gonna just figure it out, and I'm gonna crack the code, and I'm gonna get the dang job. But so that was the thing, is I pitched 2 different characters, but it's just so obvious when you care about a character, like that document, even though it's just a document that's going into an email, it'll somehow like be glowing. It'll have like a halo around it. Like
this is made for me. I don't care what you say. This is
yeah.
mine. I will write it no matter what.
Exactly. So yeah, super hash brown blessed that everyone I've kind of wanted to, like, there's been that connection. Like, I did a G.I. Joe story, and I like G.I. Joe. I don't love G.I. Joe, and you can just tell, like, I don't know what I'm doing in it. Like, you're like it's like, but it was only 4 pages, so I just felt like the G.I. Joe fans.
Like, just smash all of the references in there, and someone will enjoy it.
I didn't even do that. I had it take place in like Venice Beach, and like
very on brand.
Like a skateboard fight. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
so on brand.
I was still me about it. By the way, for all librarians, I have to do this. I do have to plug my friend Jack. Do it. For any librarians out there who want to figure out the best way to deal with comic collections and in having them in your comics in your library collection, Jack Phoenix just put out a book about it. I did an illustration in it. The book is great. It's comic books, graphic novels, and manga. It's an excellent resource to help you figure out what the frick to do with comic books, because it's hard. There's so many of them, and you don't know which ones to. It's whatever. Jack says it all.
Well, it's like you don't know what belongs where, or how to catalog it or anything like that, and I'm sure that helps with it. And also what to look for, because there's years upon years upon years of books, and there's the right book for the right type of person in there, I'm sure. And
the importance for your library to have it. I think also then you have to, some libraries, you need to make the case to have this collection space for this collection.
Right, yeah.
So anyway, Jack Phoenix's book, please go grab it. Shameless plug. But anyway,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Right?
I want to ask you this question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I was really curious on how it felt to write that Iceman story.
It felt chill.
Well, because it's it was, I think, possibly a big part in that character's told life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Or am I making a bigger deal than it actually is?
Well, I think that's the thing, is when I was writing that, I wasn't thinking, am I allowed to curse on this thing?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure Moni would, well, I mean, it's going out to all over the world.
Oh,
she said yes in big capital letters.
I don't think I shit gold. You just do the best you can do, and if people like it, they like it. So the most important thing for me with the Iceman book was just getting it right for my standards of what I wanted for that story. And I felt very comfortable because A, I'm an X-Men fan. B, I've read almost every important Iceman Bobby Drake story to date, and his fans have not necessarily been getting the best stories out there. So I also felt like I felt like I could succeed. I felt like I could succeed. I didn't know if I was gonna, but I felt like I was set up to succeed in a narrative sense. And then I just like clung to very true stories I heard from other people in my life who were in his position of being in your late 20s, your early 30s, Irish Catholic upbringing on the East Coast, like, and what that journey was for them. And I just stuck to that and said, it's based in truth. And it's not, and the other thing too was like, it's not my truth, which was really important for me because I just, you know, there were a lot of naysay, I don't know what they were called, trolls, dickheads,
Yeah,
whatever.
I suppose. Trolls, I think would be, all over,
yeah, there were a few people who just wanted blood for no reason besides wanting blood.
Well, because you ruined their characters, Sina.
Well, Brian
you wrote them.
Bendis did that. like a bunch of straight white guys did it 3 years before, 2 years before me. That's what's so funny is it's like how do straight white men always get like forgotten when it comes to the blame game, and then like you go straight for the minorities? Anyway, not that I have an opinion about that. But it's like, anyway, yeah, so I whatever, I took that beating and I did it. And it wasn't until like the New York Times wrote about it, because again, Marvel wasn't promoting it. Marvel wasn't sending
I remember that.
So that was organic, that a journalist or reporter or whatever
wrote about it,
picked up what I was dropping and said, hey, this is cool. So yeah, I don't know. It's cool, and I'm super glad I did it, and I love that book so much. And I think the other thing I love about it is like when all is said and done, it feels very much like my baby, in the sense of like I did that, like that was me. So it's cool. You know, it's just like another thing to have on your library that you're like, yeah, I did that. That was tight. And yeah, so I don't know. It was cool. But I try not to stress out about quote unquote importance, because you don't know, like if you go in thinking something is going to be like capital I important, like A, you're walking in with an ego, and then B, you're setting yourself up for like massive disappointment. So
well, yeah, because you don't know how people are going to take it and how they're going to relate to it, right?
Yeah, so, and it could even bleed off into the work if it comes off as like self-important as like issue of the week, you know? And so I was trying to avoid that at all costs. And sometimes I succeeded and sometimes I failed. And it was and I think I learned a lot about storytelling and a lot about how to like represent a community while keeping the pace of an action comic. So it was a really great and valuable and challenging experience that I'm glad I had, and I fucking love that book. So yeah, that's the other thing too. If you can order Iceman, Volume 1 is out of print, but find ways to support Iceman still, because that book is
I'm sure that
it's out of print.
Well, I'm sure it's somewhere, right? Whether it's on even just digitally on Comixology or anything like that, you know?
Right. Yeah, let Marvel know that book is still valuable and still necessary.
And that's important to let them know that, because you can talk amongst your friends all you want about that, but if you don't say it on social media or send an email or whatever, mostly social media because that's where they check, but like if you don't talk about this stuff, then they're going to just assume that no one cares about it, even if people are purchasing the book. Because if people are talking about it, then they just assume that that people are purchasing it to then collect it and not read it. So.
Yeah, it's all important at the end of the day. That's what's crazy is like you've got to promote on all fronts. You've got to talk about the thing, buy the thing, review the thing, buy your friend a copy of the thing. Like, but hey, it's fun. It's fun to do that stuff.
Let's roll it back a bit. How did you get started in comics? Because I don't think I've ever heard that story before.
I've just always loved comic books. My comic book store was right next to my library growing up, and I would go to both. I'd read Pippi Longstocking at the library and then read X-Men comics at the comic store. And I just, I was always drawing them. Like I would draw the Generation X characters in my notebooks and stuff, and then I started asking questions like, how does someone actually do this? What paper do they use? What pens do they use? How come what I draw doesn't look like what it looks like in the comic books? How do you make your drawings not have your pencil lines show up, when it all that stuff. And so I started asking questions. And then in high school, I interned at a comic company called Top Cow Productions. They put out the most boobtastic books ever. It's great.
They sure do.
You know what, man? I love, like, it's like
there's something for everyone, and that's the important part about it.
And it's like so, like, the era that I was into it, like the late 90s, it's just like so forgivably male gaze, where it's like, this is what dudes think is cool, is like chicks in Versace dresses, like dudes in nice cars with big guns, and like everyone has long hair. I was just like, it's pretty iconic. But anyway, so I worked for them for a long time.
As an artist, or sorry, as a writer? Or
intern, just as an intern, editorial intern.
Okay,
I was in high school. Yeah. So it's just an editorial intern. And then I worked at the comic store. I started self-publishing zines. I went to college. I had my first comic that Diamond distributed was called Books with Pictures, and it was about a girl working at a comic store. And that was really neat to do. And then after that, I was doing this webcomic that became the Image series Little Depressed Boy. I illustrated a children's book for Amber Benson, who was Tara on Buffy. And then the thing that kind of shifted all of it was I became Robert Kirkman's editorial director at Skybound.
Okay.
He's the guy that created The Walking Dead. And so I was his editor for a few years.
That's wild. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. And it's so great that enough time has passed that, like, I don't get asked about that anymore. Like when I quit and was promoting my first like memoir graphic novel.
Oh, that was like all they could focus on, huh? Was like, oh, you used to work for Robert Kirkman. You're like, but I'm talking about me.
Well, but like, it was cool, you know, and it was a fair question in the sense of like, it's the most interesting thing about me at that time. But it was just so funny because they would always be like, how was that? And it's like, well, how do you, like, it was a job. Like, it was a job. Like, it was editing comics. It's the hardest job in comics. Like, because it's thankless and it's, everything is your fault. And, you know, but like, it was, and I loved that experience too. That was cool to watch a global phenomenon happen in front of my very eyes. That was super neat. But, so I did that. And then after that, I kind of struck out on my own and went freelance full time. And that's when I was releasing like memoir through Image Comics and doing Little Depressed Boy. And I did a couple series here and there. And it finally led to, you know, the Marvel work and sort of where I'm at now, promoting Ghosted in LA from Boom Studios. Out next week. And
well,
the single issue's out now.
I love it. Oh my gosh, those tarot covers. I need to find a way to get them. Like, if you can do one for each character, like, or put them on T-shirts. I'm telling you, I will buy all of them. Because
I think, wait, if Philip Sablik is watching this, it's like, Philip, we should do a Ghost in LA tarot deck.
Yeah. Oh, that would be that'd be amazing.
Let me tell you. So yeah, that. You know, that's the very truncated, shortened version of it. But the long and the short of it is, for anyone who cares about comics or is interested in getting into comics, is that it's a tapestry. It takes forever. It's never on your timeline. And there's a lot of trial and error. And there's a lot of moments where you think, this is it. Like, this is the moment. I even, like, one of my zines I called Is This It? Because it's all the short stories I did in the decade, like, leading up to, you know, getting work from Marvel and DC. Right. And every time I just thought, oh, this is it. Like, this is the moment. Like, I've arrived. Like, this, with this short story and this gig or whatever, like, I'm now like a capital P professional, and I'm now to be taken seriously. And
well, it's like I talked to a few of my friends who are in the comics and who like do who are artists and colorists and things like that. It's like, no one gets into comics to be rich, like, and if you do, it's kind of, not to label it, but it's kind of like for the wrong reason, because you're not going, unless you're Jim Lee or Scott Snyder or Robert Kirkman, who pretty much created this mass hysteria, you know, thing. It's like, you're not ever going to live in this fancy $1 million house, you know?
Yeah.
It's just not what comics will give you. You do it because it's something that you truly enjoy, and a lot of the time it's a job that you have. Speaking personally, a job I have that is like, I love it, but at the same time, I hate it sometimes because it's just so emotionally taxing on you to put so much effort into something, but only see a minuscule type of return on that, in my opinion. And I think
Yeah.
anyone who wants to get into comics know that it's not, you're not going to be Scott Snyder. You're not going to be, I mean, in work, possibly, but in money, probably not.
Yeah, two things to that. One, there's a song lyric that I clung to in my 20s. The band Sleater Kinney, we all love them. I mean, we'll see after it without Janet, but anyway, that's not, we're talking about comics. But they had a song lyric that goes, "This music gig doesn't pay that well, but the fans are all right." And that was like my 20s. Like, it was just touring, not making a lot of money, but having like the sweetest, most awesome, engaged group of readers one could ever wish for. And then what I will say, something I've learned is, for anyone who wants to be in comics, like, take the money you make in comics and go put it into something else. Like, the guys who owned the comic store I worked at, they had like property, like they had real estate, like they were renting out, you know, like they were like, "No, we don't make money off the comic
No.
store." They're like, "What are you talking about? Like, we can't profit off of this thing." Because it was in Santa Monica, which is a very
Okay, yeah.
expensive city. So like, but they were just, they knew to not rely
Solely
on,
place on, yeah.
so they would take whatever pennies they had, buy property, rent out the property, develop property, and build that sort of nest egg to rely on. And then, because I think as employees of the comic store they owned, they were both only taking home like 20 grand a year, because to keep, you know, to make sure that the employees could get paid fairly or whatever. And so that's the other thing, you know, and I'm trying to do that now, but it's taken me this long, like into my 30s, to even be financially able to say, like, I have $30 to like put in a different account. Like, whereas before it used to be like, that $30 needs to pay my like gas bill or
Yeah,
something.
or my food or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very obvious you were working comic in the comic industry. It was essentially a working actor. Like, you worked um quite hard to get where you are. And there's some people who have, and this isn't shade or anything like that, but it's like some people who have that moment, like, oh, someone asked me to make this book, and this book is going to be amazing, and it's going to be the start of it. And a lot of, I guess you're the perfect example of, a lot of it is you work in every facet of the industry to eventually get to where you can make comics your full-time job,
It's a
right?
tapestry. It's a total tapestry. And I got that phrase for this specific, or I got that analogy from Amy Poehler's book, Yes, Please, because she talks a lot about thinking, people asking or thinking that there's the moment, that even like Parks and Recreation was the moment. And she spends a lot of time talking about how every year Parks and Recreation was on the verge of cancellation. Like, you never are settled until like two steps after you like have reached your breaking point or something like
Right.
that. That's certainly my advice I tell people, is like, the nice moment happens two stages after you're ready to give up. Like it's, but anyway, it's amazing. It's such a cool industry, and I love comics so much, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it, and I still love it. And that's what's also great, is just, you know, like being in this long-term relationship where I still look at my partner, you know, like I see my partner at the grocery store and I'm like, "Ooh, who's that?" And it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, I take that home." And that's comic books to me, is like, you know what I mean? I see them looking at arugula and I'm like checking out their butt and I'm like, "Oh my God, like
Like,
they're
that's
so
fine.
hot." Yeah. So that's how I feel. That's a
I
really
love it.
weird, sorry, that's gross. I don't mean to objectify my
Oh,
industry.
you don't objectify comics. What is there a dream comic you can make? If you can make any comic, is there like this dream comic, or are you currently making those right now?
Ghosted in LA is a big happy spot for me. I always wanted to do an ensemble book. Like, I think with Iceman, I would always talk to people at Marvel and be like, "Give me a team book. Like, give me, like, it doesn't have to be your big one. Like, I'm not saying I'm a, you know, famous person, but like just even a 4-issue miniseries where I can have a group of people you know, all be set to different boiling points and have that happen and show you what I can do. Because I love that stuff so much. And so Ghost in LA really scratches that itch for me. Same with like the Go-Go Power Rangers comic I was co-writing. Even though it was a already running locomotive,
Right.
it was great to kind of look at these characters I hold so dear to my heart and then put words in their mouths that the show either there wasn't the bandwidth for or wasn't evolved enough for, in the sense of it was a kids show and you couldn't really put these characters through, you know, levels of grief that, you know, were on a Saturday morning program for 7-year-olds.
Cartoon, yeah, or
Yeah,
not
yeah,
a
yeah.
cartoon, but yeah, I totally understand.
Right. It was programmed against cartoons,
Yeah.
exactly. So so I am really, really happy. I think because, you know, Ghosted is wrapping up for now.
Excellent.
I would love to do some teen stuff. I would love to work with some young adult editors, and I'm really happy at DC Comics, and I think it would be great to do something similar to Iceman, where you take a character who just hasn't been given their moment and see if I can find their moment. And it's not necessarily based on identity politics. Like, you know, I really love Plastic Man, and I just kind of feel like I loved Kyle Baker's run and I loved Gail Simone's run, but every single time I'm still not seeing the book I wanted Plastic Man
like the
to be.
full story, what you think the full story is.
Or like, yeah, like when the movie comes out, like what's the book that the comic store needs to have?
We're gonna base, yeah, I get it.
Like,
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. So there's stuff like that. There's characters at DC that I would kill for, and Catwoman, I go back and forth. I love her so much.
That'd be
but I don't know if I just want to be a fan. Like, you know,
like have that on your resume, or like write the story or something like that.
But sometimes if I love something, I don't want to touch it. Like with Iceman, I made the hard rule to never include Wolverine because I love Wolverine, and I felt like that would be that would show like, oh,
fan
like
servicey, you think?
Self-service, like, and I never wanted to be self-servicing. I wanted to just be a storyteller or be perceived as one. And so that's why Iceman never dated gay bears, and that's why Wolverine never showed up, because both of those would have been for like me and my happiness, not for the benefit of the character. And I feel that way about Catwoman, where I love her, but I don't know if I want to work on her because maybe I just want to be a fan. But I think I'd say yes. I think if DC was like,
hey, write Catwoman, you'd be like, yeah, absolutely.
Shit. I don't know if I want to draw her because it's like too hard. There's too many buildings.
But have you seen all those Art Germ covers? Those are incredible. The Michelle Pfeiffer cover was
so sexy.
Excellent. Yes.
So good.
You also wrote Jughead Time Police, which was absolutely amazing. I read that last week, I think, because I'm catching up on all those things.
Thank you.
Sorry that I didn't read it before that, but I was like, I closed that book and I was like, okay, this is the complete story, but why is this the complete story? I need more. Because you turned a character, well, there was obviously so many Jugheads in this book, but you turned like the classic character into this sort of villain, and it works so well, and I loved it so much. And I think that you need to write Reggie Mantle. You need to write. I've been saying that forever and ever. But is there any characters like that, like in pop culture, that, like the Go-Go Power Rangers and things like that, that you'd want to write more of?
I would 10,000% continue playing in the Archie universe till the end of time. I love those characters so much. If anyone here has read Jughead's Time Police, please go give it a positive review on Amazon. If you haven't, please go buy it, because Derek Charm's artwork is so great on that book. And there are like 2 gags in there that I think are like, you know, really amazing. Like, pat myself on the back. Like, I think I sold the book on the fact that, like, I was like, and then it ends in a crisis of infinite Jugheads. Like, so yes, I love that book so much, and I love the Archie universe. If there's anything like, let's see, I don't know. Well, because again, it goes back to like, if I love something, I don't want to touch it. Like, I
Right.
did tell an editor, I was like, if you get the license to Lizzie McGuire, I would do a Lizzie McGuire thing. Like, in a
That'd be
heartbeat.
so sick.
It's so silly and so sick, and I would totally do it. Yeah, I don't know. Anything, everything. I feel like I can make like anything fun for myself or find the value in it.
You should write a Cheryl
Golly.
Blossom versus Veronica book. Because we always get Betty and Veronica, and then Adam Hughes wrote Betty versus Veronica,
Which
and
was
that
such a
was
good
awesome.
book.
Yeah, and I'm so upset it was only 3 issues, but I think Cheryl versus Veronica, especially right now with all of the Riverdale things happening and all that, which I think they're actually friends now. I haven't been keeping up,
Oh, I mean,
but
give it like
yeah,
2 episodes. Like, don't worry.
exactly. They're
Don't
all
worry.
singing and happy, and the next episode someone's dying. That's just how Riverdale goes.
Yes.
But you should write. I mean, I'm just telling you, like, you should write everything.
Believe
All
me,
the things
listen,
I love, you should write all of them. But
my editor, Alex Segur at Archie, like, gets so many unsolicited ideas from me just because I love those characters. Like, there's just no end. There's no end to great stories. And there's like one thing I actually would love to do, but because it's in my power to maybe make it happen, I can't say it out loud, but there's like some crossovers I'd love to make happen.
I hope one of
like,
them is with Josie. I'm not
oh,
gonna
I
lie.
love Josie and the Pussycats. Oh my God, wait, I'll tell you something that probably can't happen because it was just like too weird of an idea for them. But I was like, Josie and the Pussycats become murder heads, and then they go on tour and they straight up just like try and like, catch a killer because like all they do is listen to serial killer podcasts.
No,
Meanwhile,
that
Josie
absolutely
has like
can
a
happen.
stalker. It could happen, but it's like a very
A vigilante like band. I mean, I'm sure you've seen Carly's book, Heavy Vinyl. It could be
Mhm.
an homage or akin to that. That'd be friggin' sick. I would love that, especially the whole podcast situation. That'd be so cool.
I just feel like it would be so, and it's so true. Like, it's just, that's what would happen is you just become like, if you're in a van all day and you have nothing else to do, you'd probably listen to serial killer podcasts. Like,
Who doesn't?
but no, yeah, like, I feel like I'm giving you a non-answer by being like anything and everything,
Yeah.
but
No, it's all good because that
um,
means there's so many possibilities out there.
yeah, I mean, especially now, like, I think the thing that coronavirus has really, and like, made, and like, blown up for me is just the gift of being able to do this has been so wild. And the fact that I've gotten to make any comics is kind of cool. So that's why, yeah, I'm like Taylor Swift winning an award. I'm like, oh, I get
Like
to
me
work.
for the 15th time? Oh my gosh.
It is though. That's how I am right now. Like any opportunity right now is just like, whoa, like people want to spend money to read what I have. Like, this is what I was into as a kid. Like, whoa, so I am, yeah,
That's
I am
good.
like
I
Miss
love that it's
Americana.
still like, oh, that was gonna sound so rude, but it's like I love that it's still like not a surprise, but humbling.
It
Because for
is.
me, when I was asked to do this, or I was, and speak with other people, I was like, I just run a comic book store. I don't do anything that special. But
But you
I'm
do.
I
It's
I
crazy. It's all
hope
crazy. It's all crazy and cool. It's all crazy and
it's a lot of
cool.
fun, and that's the best part is that my job is actually really fun all the time, except for when it's very stressful. But
Right.
that's something else. Matt actually wants you to talk about Not My Bag.
Okay.
I'm not familiar, so you're going to teach me.
Yeah. So Not My Bag was my first autobiographical graphic novel that I released right after working for The Walking Dead. It is a gothic memoir, and it's about when I worked at a department store because I had such a bad time working there, and it was so insane. And it's so funny because now there's a word for it. I was being gaslit,
Oh, I see.
corporate gaslighting. And
Is this a rude question to ask, but were you out already, or were
mhm,
you, okay.
yeah. It wasn't, there was no, I wasn't like, I wasn't discriminated against. It was just like my boss was like this two-faced, wretched human being, and the building was really corrupt, and they were just playing mind games to get people to perform and sell
Oh,
this expensive clothing.
corporate, yeah.
Yeah, and so and then there was some personal stuff that happened, like the day I quit. I ran into this person who like really fucked me up emotionally that like ghosted me, and then like we're in an elevator together while I'm literally dropping off my like
Oh
2 weeks
no.
notice. And when it was happening, I was like, this isn't real. Like none of this is real. So I made a book about it. And it's funny because I really love it, but I also see all of its flaws now. And so like I never rep it because I'm just like, oh, it needs like 20 more pages, and oh, the art there is terrible. And oh,
You
the
can
perspective
just
there.
write it again. A remastered version of Not My Bag.
Listen, hey, I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. You're going to read Not My Bag Remake. Like,
Let's do it.
I'm into it. So it is a special book, and thank you, Matt, for grabbing it.
Yeah.
Because it
He
is,
says
and
it's his
also,
personal favorite story
and
of
it's,
yours.
I mean, I love it. It's my special baby, but it's hard to, I just see it for its flaws, and so it's hard for me to like tell people to go buy it. And then, and I think also nowadays, I don't think I could ever convince anyone to buy it now because it's so heavily like enamored with like designer like fashion, and I just feel like right now no one's in the mood to talk about the beauty of high fashion because like we're all just like counting our pennies.
Right.
But I love that book, and I think it's either out of print or close to out of print, so there's a world where I could re-release it. But that was such a special book. I even like picked out the paper and sent the factory like the paper I liked. Like I was like, I want it to feel like Persepolis. Persepolis has such good paper. Anyway,
You were
yeah.
heavily invested. I
Oh
mean,
my
yeah, it was a
God.
memoir, so obviously you were heavily
Yeah.
invested.
Yeah. And like Image Comics is great because they give you that control. Like you're allowed to have that say in things where they're like, what kind of paper do you want?
That's wild. I
And
didn't know that.
and that's the kind of nerd I am, where like I'm like, I want to tell you what kind of paper I want. So yeah, that shit's rad. Oh yeah, Matt says I can see some of the messages. Are there any other questions
Yeah.
from other people? What are the other questions? I mean, I can keep going, but we should probably start doing questions from the audience.
And I have asked all my questions, so I haven't gotten an answer whether or not we're gonna have another Josie book, or a Reggie Mantle book, but that's okay.
It's TBD. I did reach out there, as you know, things are a little up in the air with publishing calendars, but I guess the most I can give you is that Archie was happy with the work I did, and
I would hope so.
And it's not like they want me to stop. So we shall see. Do I have furry coworkers? ALA is doing. What's the question?
You showed your Oh, Henry.
Oh, now that I don't know, this is my baby. I'll say thank you.
Oh my!
I had a cat, but she passed away last year. So.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's awful.
It is. She's like 15 now, so it's okay. I mean, it's never okay, but yeah. So this is Henry. He makes it really hard for me to like draw for hours on end because he needs walks and he needs attention. But he's a good boy.
Is he excited? Well, is he excited that you're home all the time now, or were you home all the time before?
I did have a social life in the sense of like I really was engaged with like my friend groups, and I had like a book club and blah 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 blah. So I had reasons to leave that. Like I'd go to the movies a lot. I would go to movies and concerts. So he's happy to have me at home in the evenings. He also has a lot of energy, and he's super bummed out that he doesn't get to go to doggy daycare anymore because doggy daycare is closed. I take him once a week so he could like hang out with his bros
and socialize.
Yeah, so that's the only bummer. He has a lot of energy, but we're sorting it out. We go on long walks together. It's romantic. I tweeted yesterday that like he's like literally the subject of all my Taylor Swift singing. Like I just go to him. Oh, any favorite comic shops to shout out to? All of them, unfortunately. I love every comic shop I've been to.
SoCal Games and Comics. No,
SoCal Games and Comics. I love Secret Headquarters in Silver Lake, Brave New World, Heidi Ho Comics, Golden Apple Comics. These are all LA comic stores. Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, Maryland was really nice to me. Black Cat Comics in Utah. I think they're Salt Lake City. I'm just gonna move my sketchbook. I love all of the comic stores. I'm having a brain. Oh my god, Shop Called Quest is great.
Shop Called Quest. I went to their Claremont store when I lived in where I lived in Pomona, but I lived in LA, and I used to go to their Claremont store all the time. It's nice.
They've got a keen aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
advice for kids interested in drawing. Just keep doing it. Keep drawing. Don't put any pressure on yourself. I could not color in the lines for the longest time, and I thought there was something wrong with me. And that's just pressure. That's just other kids are going to be where other kids are at. Don't think about other kids. Draw what you want to draw, and then when you want to take it seriously, you got to start challenging yourself to draw things you don't want to draw. And I would imagine that YouTube is your friend and that you can watch your favorite artists draw on YouTube. Have I done any cool library programs? What's this question? What did Jack just ask?
Have you done any cool library programs that stand out in your head or heart?
Was that a library program that I did when I went to Cleveland, or was that just a convention? Jack, is that what you're trying to get me to say? I don't know. I go back and forth. I've had some pretty bad library moments, and then I've had some pretty great ones. Like I spoke to some like middle school. You know what the problem is? They don't mean to be, but like middle school kids are like incidentally vicious. They're not even vicious. They're just like
honest.
they're just dead fake. They're just dead fake. They're just a hard audience. They're such a difficult audience, and they don't give you anything, and they're typically too young to know what to ask for in terms of advice. They're too young to start thinking about that stuff, which is fine, because if they were, it'd be like a bunch of little Rachel Berries from Glee, and that would be the other version of like insane. But they're such a tough audience. Like they're so hard to read, and they're so incidentally awful. But they're great too, because if you just got to be ready for silence. And that's the thing with like when I do library events with like, you know, young readers, is like, oh, you got to be ready for like a quiet audience that is not going to interact, and you just got to keep
monologue it.
Yeah, you got to monologue, you got to have some visual aids, you got to have some gifts, and you got to have pizza. This is amazing. Anytime I get to do any kind of virtual conference is my favorite, and those have always been really fun. Anything I've done with ALA has been super fun. So
awesome.
And that's not even like, it's not even a dig. I mean, that's not even like, I'm not lying. Like virtual conferences are great, and everyone is super nice and they want to be there. I think that's what's fun too. I think that's what's the great thing about grown-ups and library stuff, is they really want to be there. And they're super sweet and enthusiastic. And the questions are great, but middle school kids are hard. What is this? Oh, for a physical program.
You're on the VIP list now.
Oh, hey.
For more physical programs and things like that, I suppose.
Because awesome. I'm all like, because I bring gifts.
Yeah, because you bring pizza. That's what it is. It's the pizza.
Boom. I mean, I make someone else bring the pizza, but yeah, no, I'm just kidding. And this dog is asleep in my arms now, so that's great. But yeah, no, I mean, I grew up like living in a library, so I only want the best for them. And they're so, gosh, you know what though? Can we call out cool libraries? The West Hollywood Library here. The West Hollywood Public Library is insane. Gays know how to make their libraries look super chic, super clean. The best view. You're right by the Pacific Design Center. But yeah, Cleveland's library peeps are cool, Jack. Y'all are cool people. But I don't, that was a comic conference. That was not a library conference, right, Jack? Anyway, I don't know. He can mention it in the comments. Correct, Sina.
He said correct.
Thank you. Yeah, any other questions? Any other thoughts, dreams, hopes?
Hopes and dreams. That's all we have right now. And our computers at home.
But yeah, no, it's been a blessing. It's a good ass blessing.
All right, one last thing. You have one thing to promote that's not Ghost in LA. What would you like to promote?
Is this like, am I forgetting something, or
No, anything.
Oh, okay.
Anything. It can be your favorite place to eat dinner. It could be next thing you're working on. It could be a friend's project, whatever you like.
Well, I will say one more time, new comic, Getting It Together, Image Comics, should be coming out June, but who the fuck knows now because of things, but keep an eye out for Getting It Together. What would I say? Just indie booksellers in general. Figure out how to support them right now. Just figure out how you can order a book. Do a curbside pickup for your favorite restaurant, whichever one that is. They'd all appreciate it. And I'm reading Sissy by Jacob Tobiah. Let me go grab that. I love this book. It's right here. Also, it has the prettiest cover. Sissy, it's a coming of gender story. It's so great. I love Cameron Esposito's book, Save Yourself. And yeah, I just love reading. Just keep reading. Oh my gosh. And I just finished Tilly Walden's On a Sunbeam. I hate her. She's so talented. She's 25. She just keeps spewing out 400-page graphic novels. It's like, stop it. Stop it. Have your Return of Saturn and chill out. But yeah, that's me.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Anything else? One last call for questions for Sina before we head out.
Crickets.
I know.
Yeah.
I think we answered everything. We had a good talk.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, Sina. We'll speak again for sure. You too, honey. Bye-bye.
Bye.